Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice Presidential nominee, Senator JD Vance.
We will protect the wages of American workers and stop the Chinese Communist Party from building their middle class on the backs of American citizens.
Dayton, Ohio is one city in America's Rust Belt with a long heritage of manufacturing.
What happened to the factories?
They used them up. Everybody downsized. They could just split. They employed everybody for years. They just paid them to retire and let them go. Here's your severance pay. It's over.
My dad worked for General Motors, and my mom was like a real estate agent. And they really brought home the idea that if you worked hard, that you'd be able to do well in this country. This kind of fell apart, really, I think, in around the early 2000s. This contract broke with the loss of manufacturing jobs that were slowly trickling in Dayton. The thought process in the second half of the 20th century was you work hard, you play by the rules, your children will reap those rewards. And that's really what the American dream is. For the first time in our country, what we're experiencing is that's not the case. Children of families aren't doing better than their parents. And I think that's the broken dream that's happening right now.
From 2001 to 2007, the Dayton metro area lost almost 23,000 jobs. Nearly 1 in 3 local manufacturing jobs vanished. As that happened, the poverty rate here climbed to 34.5%, nearly 3 times the poverty rate nationwide. How did Dayton get here? At one point, it was considered the Silicon Valley of its age.
This community, we were known as a city of 1,000 factories. We were producing all manner of different types of things. We led the nation per capita in terms of the number of US patents issued. There was really a spirit of innovation and creativity here.
Dayton was where aviation was invented.
Wilbur and Orville Wright really taught themselves how to fly while flying above an old cow pasture in Dayton, Ohio. In many real ways, this is the world's first practical airplane.
Dayton was where the cash register was invented. Factories here manufactured stoves, refrigerators, bikes, cars, trucks, you name it.
For much of the 20th century, Dayton, Ohio was the place to be if you were looking for a job and looking for a way to get ahead. By the time the 1990s and 2000s are rolling around, we see a lot of our large corporations in this community starting to struggle.
To understand why what happened over 20 years ago continues to reverberate in American politics today, we need to turn back the clock to 2001. That year, the U.S. government supported the motion that China be allowed into the World Trade Organization.
Opening the economy of China, the agreement will create unprecedented opportunities for American farmers, workers, and companies to compete successfully in China's market while bringing increased prosperity to the people of China.
As factories moved overseas, some estimates were that 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost. Economists thought it would be temporary. But some communities never recovered from the shutdown of these factories.
Entire industries have been wiped out, sectors such as textiles, apparel, furniture, also large segments of the electronic industry.
They say free trade, we say no way.
Globalization is necessary and it is going to happen, but unlike other countries like Germany or other countries that protected their worker, the American government did not. And the hollowing out of the middle class that has really happened over our country over the past 20, 30 years has really sown this anger in communities across the Midwest.
These workers find themselves in places like Walmart working at minimum wage with no benefits, and their children have no benefits. Likewise, these factories were often the most important part of the tax base. So income tax revenues go down. As a result, the communities themselves decay. They have to lay off teachers, police, firefighters. So it's become a well-known process of what's called the Rust Belt, the evolution of the Rust Belt here in the United States. Every manufacturing job in the United States supports about 1.75 additional jobs upstream in the supply chain. These are people that provide services like law and accounting. And when the plants go, many of those jobs go with them.
To the people of Ohio and all the forgotten communities in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and every corner of our nation, I promise you this: I will be a vice president who never forgets where he came from.
美国国内啊，现在贫富悬殊的问题啊，可以说是越来越严重。1%的超富的人群，他们所掌握的财富的总量呢，与整个的中产阶级的总量是一样的甚至还要更多。用作基尼指数来计算的美国的贫富悬殊的问题，使得美国呢已经倒退到1913年的水平所以说我个人认为贫富悬殊的不断扩大，是美国当前所有的政治经济问题的总根源。因为美国的政客、美国的权力精英当然是不愿意承认他们的过去的一个盲目的这个全球化的这样一个政策导致了美国国内贫富悬殊的问题。那么他转移矛盾就是说认为中国呢这个认为呢是美国当前所有问题的根源。
最大的得益方是美国，是所有这个跨国公司的资本，他们在中国赚了很多钱，赚得盆满钵满，但是这些钱和利润呢，没有给他们本国的老百姓来进行分享。
Here at House of Bread, the number of people seeking aid has been increasing steadily every year.
We are what's known as a community kitchen. We offer a place for people in our local community to be able to come 7 days a week to receive a free, nutritious lunchtime meal. We were seeing a huge increase in families coming into us in around 2005, 2006. It's disheartening, honestly, that in America, that we really allow anyone to lack the basic resources. We talk about this being the land of opportunity. And if you're poor, this is not the land of opportunity. This is the land of a very deep funnel that you've fallen in, and you're trying to climb back up, and there's no handles.
And then came the 2016 elections. Trump went to these Rust Belt towns and ran a campaign targeting China.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country.
He came across as an outsider, somebody who was going to be the bull in a china shop and shake up Washington. And working people like that image. They want somebody strong who was willing to fight with the powers that be. They blamed China's entry into the WTO as being responsible for the loss of their jobs and their communities.
This time around, Trump is doing the same.
Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those.
Trump has pledged tariffs of 60% or more on Chinese goods to incentivize domestic production if he becomes president again. New tariffs would more than half China's annual growth rate, according to new research from UBS Group.
贸易保护主义的政策呀，会伤害每一个人，伤害所有的经济体。首先是这个中国的企业中国的经济肯定要受到损害，因为是减少了出口。那么美国的工人、美国的经济同样是会受到损害。我们看到这个特朗普第一任对中国发起了贸易战，对几乎所有的中国出口到美国的产品呢加征了关税。但是呢，根据美国方面的研究93%的所增加的额外的关税，由美国的进口商美国的消费者来承担了。实际上，在这场美国所发动的贸易战当中美国是失败了。当然，美国的经济，美国的老百姓付出了一个更高的代价。
Studying the effects of trade is a complex matter. What would a company such as Apple have done without low-cost Chinese assembly workers? Without China, would manufacturing have moved out to India, Mexico, and Southeast Asia anyway? What about the robots and fancy machines that had supplanted workers?
Globalization is going to happen, and automation for sure is happening across the world. But for me, it's really about how America decides to protect its workers. And that's, I think, the most important thing in our relationship with China.
We're going to build factories again, put people to work making real products for American families made with the hands of American workers. Together, we will protect the wages of American workers and stop the Chinese Communist Party from building their middle class on the backs of American citizens.
共和党的副总统的候选人万斯我想呢，他的这个言论呢实际上是非常错误的，也是非常危险的。煽动是中国的因素来损害了美国中产阶级的这个福祉实际上这是一个选举政治的一个表述同时呢也不符合事实。可以说正是中国这个物美价廉的产品对于抑制美国国内的通货膨胀促进美国中下阶层的生活水平维持他们的生活水平呢，实际上起了一个非常大的一个作用。但是美国政客呢，他说是说这个选举语言呢，实际上对于解决美国国内的真正的问题没有太多的帮助美国国内的最大的问题还是贫富悬殊不断扩大，但是两党呢都不愿意承担这个责任，来根本性的来解决财富再分配的问题。
This is the place